Welcome back. This is day 10 out of 50 SAT Math Prep series, and today we'll be working on advanced math problems once again. This is the third go around of that. And looking at our first problem, we have this chart of x and g of x values. The table shows three values of x and their corresponding values of g of x, where g of x is equal to f of x over x plus 3, and f is a linear function. What is the y-intercept of the graph y equals f of x in the xy plane? So this just means f of x simply. And this is equal to, or this is important over here. F is a linear function. Because that means we can use y equals mx plus b. And that's going to be handy later on. So just remember that whenever it says linear function. So if we know g of x is equal to f of x over x plus 3, we also know that f of x is equal to g of x times x plus 3. And looking at this, we can kind of make ourselves a table of values for f of x and x, respectively. And this is going to help us kind of break down the problem a little easier than just jumping in and trying to reverse engineer it. So I'm going to pick two values, let's say -9 and 21. And we know that f of x is equal to this, g of x times x plus 3. So plugging in g of x at -9, that's 0. And we know that anything times 0 is 0. So this is just going to be 0 for f of x as well. And then plugging in 21, we have 21 for g of x is 5. So we have 5 times, and then 21 plus 3 is 24. And this is equal to 120. So now we have the 2 points. We have -9, 0, and 21 and 120. And with this, we can find the slope of the line of this, y equals mx plus b, for the f of x function. Because these points are from f of x, remember that. So we have 120 minus 0 over 21 minus -9, and that's going to give us a value of 4. And now we know that this is where we use this formula again, y is equal to mx plus b. So we have m as 4 and x plus b. We need to solve for b, so what do we do here? All right, little note here, plug in. So we have 2 points right here. We could plug in either one to solve for b. Because once we get rid of y and x, the only variable left is b. So we need to plug in a formula for, or we need to plug in values to isolate for b. So we have -9 and 0. That's a little easier to handle. So 0, 4 times -9 plus b. So this side's already set to 0, and then b is equal to 36. So this is our y-intercept value, because remember, this is going to be our final answer. Y is equal to 4x plus 36. That's our b value, right? This is our b value. And we know that this is the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is just 0, comma 36. Because at your y-intercept, the x value is always 0. It would be like, or in this instance, it would be really like this, because it's a positive slope. But you get the gist of it at 0 and then at a y value. So this would be a 0, comma 36. Looking at this next problem, which expression is equivalent to this over here, where x is greater than 7? So I see that we have 2x minus 7. So we can factor that out, actually. We have 8x minus 3. And then factor out the x minus 7 over, And then down here, we could also factor out a 2. And now we have an x minus 7 on the top and the bottom. So these can simply cancel each other out, and that leaves us with 8x minus 3 over 2. Now we look at our answer choices, and that's our second one. And where x is greater than 7, this just means that the value of this from this expression has to be a real number, because if it's 7, it's going to be undefined. So it's just pretty much saying it has to be a positive number. Yeah. Because let's say you plug in 7 here. Times x minus 7 over 2 times x minus 7. You plug in a 7 for here. That would be 0 on the top. And then you plug in a 7 down here. That would be 0 on the bottom. And this is like inherently undefined. So this is just making it like mathematically like correct or sound. Looking at our third problem, we have h of x is equal to 2 times x minus 4 squared minus 32. The quadratic function h is defined as shown. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals h of x intersects the x-axis at the points 0, 0, and t, comma 0, where t is a constant. What is the value of t? Okay, so we know that our x-intercepts are always going to have values when y is equal to 0. So for instance, this graph may look a little something like this, since we know it's a quadratic by the squared. And the x-intercepts would be here and here, but we don't know. We know that this is 0, 0, but we don't know what this is. We know it's something, comma 0, because the y value is always going to be 0 at the x-intercepts. So we can see that 0 is equal to 2x minus 4 squared minus 32, correct? Because based off of what I just said, our y value is going to be 0, and this is going to give us our x points for when we have our x-intercepts. So 0 is equal to 2 times x squared minus 8x plus 16 minus 32. What I did right here is just the, like, a minus b squared is always equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. I'm going to write that out a little neater for you guys. This is always equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, and then down here we have 2x squared minus 16x plus 32 minus 32, just distributing the 2 there. And then we know these cancel out, and we have 2x squared, and then I'm going to move this to that side, 16x. We have an x that cancels out on each side, and we have 2x is equal to 16, x is equal to 8. So we know that 8 is a point that satisfies the other x-intercept. And to check, you can always plug into your calculator, or you could do that first, and that would also simplify it. So we're also going to take a look at how a graphing calculator could help with this. I'm not going to do Desmos because that's available to you, but this is what I used. I used my graphing calculator, and it helped me. I got a 780, so it obviously didn't fail me too bad. So we have 2 times x minus 4 squared, and then we had minus 32. And then we're going to hit graph here, and then zoom out, and then we have our two intercepts there. So trace or calculate, sorry, so second calculate, and then you're going to go down to 0. So these are your 0 is just equivalent to x-intercepts. And then you're going to go a little right, enter, and a little more right, enter. And then we have our second intercept as 8. It's hard to see because of the settings here, but if I were to make the window smaller, like for instance, -80 and 80, and then like -100 and 100, graph it here, we see it a lot more distinctly. So this is just a way to verify your answer or even get your answer from the beginning without doing this process, but either or works, whatever saves you time. So if this helped, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on day 11.